bit more finesse. So if anybody can make the break, it could be Lorenzo. And just as I say that, thank you very much, Jorge, right on cue. He slammed in the fastest lap of the race, a 1:55.375. He's known as the Hammer, and is this the start of the hammer down then from the Spaniard? Because he's over 0.3 of a second clear now of Andrea Dovizioso.
Well, just over 10.5 laps to go. These next few laps are going to be very interesting, aren't they? Perhaps Lorenzo will start testing the tyres and start testing the opposition as well, just to start increasing the pace. Who can run with me? How are the tyres going to behave?
It's turning into a bit of a lonely evening for Dani Pedrosa. Maverick Vinales has been sat about 5 or 6 bike lengths behind that factory Honda now for quite some time. Just can't make any impression whatsoever.
Paul Espargaro on the charge. He's now got past Hector Barbera up into 7th place.
You just see Dani Pedrosa's factory Honda just starting to move around a little bit on the rear as the grip starts to go away, on board with Maverick Vinales, opting to run the new Suzuki seamless shift gearbox, but not the full seamless, just on the upshifts, which is improvement on what they had last year. But from what we've seen so far, there's still a bit of work to do for Suzuki. There's Paul Espargaro, as Nick said, just climbing in front of Hector Barbera. He's doing an absolutely fantastic job. Let's not forget, that's a 3-year-old Ducati Hector Barbera's riding, the GP 14.2. He's in front of that Bradley Smith at the moment. Bradley Smith in 9th place.
And it's Scott Redding, I think, in 10th place. So they have actually closed up on Hector Barbera. Paul Espargaro has got through. Looks like Bradley Smith is also lining up Hector Barbera. Scott Redding not the best of starts, now becoming a little bit stronger. Good battle this, and Paul Espargaro having a good ride. There is Scott Redding at the back of that particular group, and he's running in 10th place on that Pramac Ducati. His teammate, Danilo Petrucci, not taking part in the race with that hand injury. And the factory Ducati, Andrea Iannone, crashes out while contesting the lead with his teammate, Andrea Dovizioso.
Andrea Dovizioso is putting up a tremendous fight for this victory, because Jorge Lorenzo just threw in another personal best lap of the race, and then Dovizioso right behind him in his slipstream. Of course, he does have that 220 mile an hour Ducati GP 16 underneath him, but Dovizioso dropped his pace to a 1:55.306. Stefan Bradl on the factory Aprilia, he has just crashed out. He was in 16th place, Bradl. Turn 15, that's the penultimate corner on the track.
Bit of a disastrous weekend for Stefan Bradl. Crashed also in practice, back at the front.
Is Valentino Rossi just losing
dropping a bit
with that
top
three?
Could be. There we go, from the helicopter shot. Visually, that appears to be the case. We'll just wait for them to cross the line and see exactly what is happening. There's Eugene Lafferty, and Lafferty with Jack Miller behind him. All of them point scorers, and Tito Rabat, the final rider out there in 15th place, could score a point on his MotoGP debut.
Yeah, Eugene Lafferty's just taken that 12th spot from Jack Miller, the Australian. Of course, his pre-season badly disrupted by that double break in his right leg after a motocross training accident.
Eugene Lafferty also in the wars, wasn't he? The final test last year when he broke his wrist, and then he had a nasty crash at Sepang in the opening day of the testing, also damaged his wrist, but his other wrist. Marc Marquez probably just feeling Lorenzo is trying to push away at the front. You just honestly don't know, do you? You know, we said perhaps they're dropping Valentino Rossi a little bit. I'm not sure about that. We ride with Dovizioso. There is Marc Marquez. Pretty sure he's keeping his powder dry, and as Dylan keeps reminding us, on the used tyres, he was very, very quick yesterday. Into turn 1 they come. There are 9 laps left of this opening round, the MotoGP World Championship. You've got to say, 3 out of 4 for the podium finishes, and the 4, they all remain on board. Lorenzo Dovizioso, Marquez and Rossi.
That onboard shot there with Andrea Dovizioso's Ducati. Marc Marquez was almost glued onto his back wheel coming through turn number 16. By the time we got to the end of the straight, Marc Marquez was just a little dot on the horizon. That's how far the Ducati had stretched away. What Jorge Lorenzo's done, though, he's able to open up just enough of a gap as he comes onto the straight, not to get slipstreamed by that Ducati. Rossi still hanging in there. Valentino Rossi hasn't made a move with anybody in this lead group throughout the entire race. He picked up 1 place off the grid with a pretty good start. Front hard, medium rear for Valentino Rossi. So he's gone for that harder compound rear tyre than Lorenzo. I mean, will that pay dividends for the 37-year-old? Will his rear tyre last a little bit longer than Lorenzo's in this crucial final third of the race?
What do you reckon, Dylan?
I think one thing which I say about the hard is there's a little bit less movement, because we don't find that much difference between the actual compounds. It's not as big as it used to be with the Bridgestones. However, Matt, you could be absolutely right, of course, that it is going to last possibly that tiny little bit longer as well. But we've got to bear in mind, Marc Marquez is on the exact same tyre combination as Rossi in front of him.
It's an intriguing situation. Lorenzo, certainly visually once again from this helicopter shot, is just prizing open a little bit of a gap at the front. And if Marquez is ever going to make a move, I think he's going to have to make it soon.
Couldn't agree more, Nick. Yeah, Jorge Lorenzo, that is his biggest advantage of this race so far. He's about to come and complete lap number 14. Dovizioso getting his pit board. He'll know that Marc Marquez is right behind him. Valentino Rossi has just been a personal best lap, well, the fastest lap of the race, actually, Rossi. 1:55.281. He is over 1 second behind Lorenzo. He's probably got the hurry up because you can see Lorenzo just starting to stretch out a little bit of a lead at the front. So Rossi fighting tooth and nail to hang on to the back of Marc Marquez, who still hasn't been able to get close enough to have a lunge up the inside of Andrea Dovizioso.
So it's Pedrosa running 5th, Vinales 6th, Paul Espargaro 7th, Hector Barbara 8th, Bradley Smith 9th, Scott Redding 10th, Aleix Espargaro 11th, Jack Miller back in front of Eugene Velafity 12 and 13. 14 is Bautista and Tito Rabat in 15th place. Only 15 riders left in this opening round of the championship.
Andrea Dovizioso, the only one in this lead quartet that's on that softer front tyre. So maybe in the latter stages of the race, the likes of Lorenzo, Marquez and Rossi, they'll probably have a little bit more braking stability from the front end. That could play crucial in terms of overtaking, because Lorenzo, he's just eking out a couple of bike lengths through every sector at the moment. The silky smooth Spaniard looking dangerous as ever. Dangerous in a good way, I mean.
Yeah, and that shot, this one is fantastic. The shot before, super smooth, just up in the pace more and more. It was a world champion at his best. This is so Jorge Lorenzo. Brilliant ride so far, and if anybody's going to stop him winning this race, somebody is going to have to make a move quite soon, because when they cross the line, there'll be only 7 laps to go.
The point for Marc Marquez is they come on to the start-finish straight now, is he can't get close enough to Andrea Dovizioso in the slipstream to have an attack at the first corner, and the advantage that Dovizioso pulls on the straight, Marc Marquez can't recover it through the corners, through the tight and twisty sections. Lorenzo over the line. It's another personal best lap of the race. Dovizioso still closing up. That will be that speed on the straight. But Lorenzo at the moment, you have to say, he's looking pretty comfortable at the front, and we know how good he is. His real strong point, his key asset, is managing these races from the front of the field. He won't panic, he won't get flustered, even when the likes of Marc Marquez come knocking at the door.
Well, it's the first race of a long season. It's the first race of 3 races in just 4 weeks. And, you know, perhaps the likes of Marc Marquez, Valentino Rossi are not prepared to take too many risks and pick up some really important points. I can't believe Marc Marquez thinks like that, but perhaps he does.
Well, he said in the winter testing that the one thing he learned last year was not to push too hard when the bike wasn't capable of winning. Settle for 20 points, 16 points, think about the bigger picture of the championship. Well, we're about to find out if it really was lesson learned for Marc Marquez. Well, he will actually push and go a little bit gung-ho in these final laps. At the moment, Lorenzo and Dovizioso have got his measure. There is, what, 6.5 laps to go, so still plenty of time for Marc Marquez. Rear tyre of that Honda spinning up through turn number 11. Great sight from the world champion, the ex-world champion now, of course.
12 and 13 for Jorge Lorenzo. At the moment, it may change. This is a masterclass of riding from a very rightful world champion. Absolutely superb from Lorenzo.
He doesn't give you a sniff, does he? He doesn't
give you a
when he's in the rhythm,
does he? No.
Once he's in the rhythm, he's faultless. He does not make a mistake. You put a €1 coin on that final corner, and every single lap, Jorge Lorenzo will run straight over the middle of it. He's precision personified, and these guys are just trying to put pressure on him to see if he can make a mistake, but he never falters, and he's just gone over the line again. Another fast lap of the race. This is impressive. This will be happy reading for Michelin, because the pace is hotting up throughout this race.
Yeah, it's great news for Michelin so far, and they've come in a very difficult situation right from the word go, and you've got to say they seem to be holding up very well indeed. Here is Lorenzo chasing his 3rd MotoGP victory here. He's got a couple of 250cc wins and a 125cc win.
And guys, I just want to come in very briefly to say Stefan Bradl made it back to the box. The team tells me he's absolutely okay. On another note, looking at Rossi's pit board, they actually just told the BRK sign. He revealed once that is engine brake. So it looks like they are losing grip on that rear tyre, and the team are telling him change your engine brake settings now.
There's the picture of Loris Baz going down at turn 2. We've seen some crashes at that turn 2 during this weekend.
Everybody talked throughout the winter about how these new Michelin tyres might move around a little bit more than the tyres we saw last year. Jorge Lorenzo's bike just doesn't move. It's on rails.
Well, here's Marc Marquez. He had a bit of a disastrous time here last year. Valentino Rossi had an unbelievable ride to win the race. But it does appear that he may just be experiencing a few problems if his pit board, I'm sure, is correct. Marquez may not be able to catch Jorge Lorenzo, but I tell you what, he's going to have a really big go at Andrea Dovizioso before the end of the race. And he's got to, but he's got to do it before they come into that final corner, because that Ducati will blast them into the weeds.
What's going to be going through Marc Marquez's mind now, Nick, is the risk over reward ratio. Does he risk it and try and catch Jorge Lorenzo, who's a little bit further up the road, or does he go, you know what, 16 points, leave here, it's been a difficult pre-season for Honda, I'll quite happily settle for 16 points. Not quite sure that happy to settle for is in Marc Marquez's vocabulary, though.
They're telling Valentino Rossi exactly where Danny Pedrosa is now at the moment, and they just to let him know that, you know, fourth place is okay. He's not going to come under a massive big threat.
It's really strange because every time you look like Rossi's just dropping out of contention, he goes and fires in a fastest lap of the race or a personal best lap of the race, which he's just done. A 1:51, 1:55, 1:71 rather. So he is still just over 1.3 seconds behind Jorge Lorenzo. 5 laps to go. You don't very often see Lorenzo surrender that kind of advantage in the final stages.
Bradley Smith back up into 8th place in front of Hector Barbera.
Well, it's been a fascinating race. We haven't seen a great deal of overtaking action at the front. Lap time is pretty stable in those mid to high 155s.
Cautious, you think that's fair to say? They've treated the track, the tyres and everything with a little bit of respect. It's such early days. There we are. There is the tyre choice.
Then also think back to last year. It was actually a relatively similar situation. No one really wanted to make their move really until the last 2 or 3 laps.
Yeah, but and we've still got, what, 4.5 to go, so don't let's rule it out. I think the battle probably will be for second place between Marquez and Dovizioso. But who knows, after the way he rode in qualifying and in that free practice for Marc Marquez, if he gets past Dovizioso, he may just have the pace to really get after Lorenzo. But he's got to get past Dovizioso first. And he's not going to do it here, I can promise you.
No. Great shot on board there of Jorge Lorenzo. Just how much edge grip he's got, how much corner speed he's able to carry through that turn number 11. He blitzed away from Andrea Dovizioso. 4 laps to go, and it's over half a second now the lead he has over Andrea Dovizioso. You do feel it's going to have to be a monumental mistake from Jorge Lorenzo to give Andrea Dovizioso or Marc Marquez the chance to fight their way back into this race. They're on board with a very lonely 5th place, Danny Pedrosa, 7 seconds back of Valentino Rossi in 4th. 2.3 seconds clear of Maverick Vinales. It does look like Valentino Rossi's challenge is wilting somewhat.
Yeah. 4th place was not the end of the world for Valentino Rossi. It's very important points.
Oh, he's been up. Well, he's not been off, but he's been incredibly wide at turn 6 and just a little bit too hot, Rossi. He's been getting that signal about changing the engine braking, and his mechanics there, Brent Stevens and Axel Briggs, they quite clearly feel that might be the mistake, a small mistake. Maybe the punishment doesn't fit the crime, but that could cost Rossi the podium.
Yeah, he's going to have to work mighty hard to get back with Marquez and Dovizioso with 3.5 laps to go. Marquez is really lining up Dovizioso. It was actually where he can get past him.
He's got to go, because we can see now through that second split, third split, Lorenzo's almost a second clear. Marc Marquez has got to pull the pin if he wants to win this Qatari Grand Prix. Andrea Dovizioso's put up great resistance. It was a great move by Marc Marquez. Now, can Marquez then hunt down Lorenzo? We're about to find out.
Well, it was free practice 4, Dylan, wasn't it? Where he was so impressive when the tyres were going off.
Well, he said his fastest lap on the last lap of his sort of half race simulation. So yeah, certainly, I certainly think he's got something in the bag. Plus, anyone who watched